So we're here with Alan Kilshaw for Rochdale 13 ahead of the club's last pre-season fixture against Coventry on Sunday. With January now out the way, how would you assess the progress of the squad over the past month?
Yeah, it's been good, mate. We've got to take in consideration we've got a pretty brutal pre-season, and although we've been playing fixtures, we've not really changed the volume too much of training. So, lads have still been, a little bit heavy-legged or tired around games or in games. So, taking that into consideration, I think the performances have been good in the free friendlies. Apart from a little bit of a blip against Oldham. Otherwise, I think we're on the right track, mate. We've got a long way to go. We know that, but we've had a really good pre-season up to now, and hopefully we can finish that off with a good performance on Sunday, and then a good week's training next week, and then we can taper off, with Barrow and the Challenge Cup and round one, coming up in February.
You've had a couple of training sessions since Sunday's defeat. How's it been going out there on the field?
Yeah, good, mate. We had a real honest review on Tuesday night, a video review. We trained quite hard Tuesday, a lot of contact, and then we trained well last night. There's a few things off in our game on Sunday, which is not, us this year, or it's not the characteristics we want to show. Our line speed was poor, our aggression or lack of it was way off, and just we didn't do the little things that we'd done the week before. So it's getting that consistency, and you can't buy enthusiasm, and I thought we got out infused on Sunday in a lot of areas, and that shouldn't happen on our own patch, and it shouldn't happen against our local rivals.
This will be the first time you face League One opposition this year. How different of a test will it be for the lads on Sunday?
I think the bridge is getting a bit, the gap is getting closer between the Championship and League One. I think it's going to be a challenge, it's going to be a tough game. Likes of Coventry, the southern teams in the past where you might write them off. Well, they've had experience in the competition now, they're recruiting well. Coventry recruited really well, so it's going to be as tough as the other games. It's not just turn up, and because we played Super League and Championship opposition, we're going to be able to perform well without not doing the little things. So again, we've got to come with the right mindset and make sure we have a good performance, and a performance that fits the occasion in John's testimonial.
You've mentioned John's testimonial there. How good will it be to honour his service to the game over the last 10 years?
Yeah, I think anyone who plays for 10 years, semi-professional, deserves that. Turn down probably a lot of work, miss holidays, miss things with the kids, and I think to be able to honour him with a game and the testimonial, it is something that he deserves, and it's great that the majority of his career has been at Rochdale, and he can turn out for Rochdale, on his home ground for the testimonial. So I think it'll be fitting for him, and he knows as an individual that he's got to perform on the weekend in terms of. I've been involved in a few testimonials, either playing or coaching, and the lads whose testimonial has been, they've been counting seats or things like that, and it's put them off the game. And John, we had a chat earlier on in the week, and the focus was him to, if he plays well, everything else will fall in place. So he knows what's expected of him this week, performance-wise.
In last week's game, there was a few knocks, just a few bumps and bruises. Are all the lads fine to play this week?
Mate, we didn't risk Dave Cookson last week. We won't risk him this week. If it was a league game or a cup game, he probably would play. But with that extra week off next week, that would have given him 3 weeks since the Swinton game. Just a knock there on his shoulder. Unfortunately, Warren Thompson picked up a dead leg last week. He's had a little bit of a disrupted January, shall we say? With missing the first Oldham fixture when it was called off. Obviously, he missed the Swinton game because of the birth of his daughter. And last week he played really well, but he picked up a dead leg, so we'll miss this week. We won't risk Wayne this week. He's had three good games, and we don't need him to play this week, so we'll let him rest up, and everyone else will be available to go apart from the suspensions and the injured lads. So we'll be running with about 20 men this weekend.
Have you got a good idea of the 17 that will face Barrow then, or is the place still up for grabs?
Mate, we're getting closer. It's a last opportunity. There's a few. him or him, you know, and it really is. It's the last opportunity for lads to get themselves in the frame in terms of this week's game and how they train next week. So everyone's got an opportunity still to impress, and we'll judge them over the course of pre-season and the course of these 4 games. So this game is as important as the other 3 in terms of people who want to put themselves in the frame for selection.
You've opted to give the lads a week off before that trip to Craven Park. Is that to let them recharge the batteries after a tough pre-season?
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned before, we've still been training quite hard around the game, so big volume, training late as well. You know, sometimes we're finishing 8:30, 8:45 on Tuesday and Thursday night, so been pretty full on. So next week, hopefully we won't train as late. We'll get a good field session in on the Thursday, and we'll have that weekend off, no training. We'll come in hopefully real sharp. You know, the programme's been designed by Ryan Gibney in terms of the conditioning programme, so we've got something in place there that we're sticking to, and we're confident and hopeful that the lads will be in, you know, real good physical shape for when they play Barrow. You know, we're not going to be peaking or anything like that in February. You know, we're not going to be at our fittest either, because we don't want to, you know, blow out come March, April. But we'll be in real good shape, and we'll be I think as in good shape as any other team in our league, if not the league above.
Chris Riley's got another hit out last weekend. He played the majority of the game, if not all of it. How's he progressing with the squad, and how important has his presence been?
Yeah, he played in centres last week, which was new to him, but we just wanted him to get a bit more ball. He actually did 20 tackles. We had a joke the other day, probably not got 20 tackles in his career, so he's been really good for the group. Obviously he was a month and a half behind everybody else, so he probably wasn't as fit as those guys, but the games have been good for him. He's been great around the group. We've appointed him as vice captain this week, in a 5-man leadership group with Wayne and Crookie. Ben Moores is in that group, and John O'Smith as well. There'll be a senior players group, and Chris will be the vice captain. We just feel his experience and, you know, his talk and his influence on the younger players, bringing out the best of other people as well. And, you know, he's been good, and he's only going to get better. Like I say, he's probably a month behind everyone else. I think he's performed well in the games. The Salford game, you know, he didn't have a pre-season really, and he went up against Justin Carney and did well. So it just shows, you know, his class, and he'll be playing, you know, full-back, wing, and probably a bit of centre this season, so he can cover those positions. And he's a real marquee signing for us. You know, we've covered all that, but you know, he probably admits himself he could have been a little bit better last week, like everybody else. But you know, when you look at it and you look at his stats, he actually did a lot of work.
And finally, Super League kicked off last night with the partner club Warrington getting a tough win, and with the competitive season just round the corner for Rochdale, is excitement starting to build in the group? Yeah,
definitely. I think as a player, you sort of at the back end of that dark run of pre-season, and the lights there at the end of the tunnel. The season's about to kick off. Myself and Wayne were at the season launch on Monday, and there's a lot of excitement there from the Championship clubs and then the other teams as well. So yeah, it was good to see Super League's back on TV, and I think that just will enhance the excitement of the boys, and we're really looking forward to playing on the weekend and then ripping in for the cup rounds and Huns at round 1, but we've got a lot of work to do before then.